Hi everyone, it's Susan Knowles with Knowles on the News and Stand for Truth Radio. I'm coming to you today doing a video broadcast. I've had a lot of you say to me, what happened to your videos? I would love to see the video broadcast brought back. And so I am doing that today. And the way for you to view this video is just simply go to YouTube, type in Susan Knowles, and you'll see my picture there, and you'll know you're in the right place, and you can hear and see this video broadcast. Now, if you just want the audio, just go to Spreaker.com, type in Susan Knowles, and you can hear this broadcast. And you can also go to iTunes and type in Stand for Truth Radio with Susan Knowles, and you can download the podcast and hear it for free there. Now, there's a lot going on in the news, as there always is, and there certainly is a lot surrounding this election. And I want to talk a little bit about this election. I know that we talk frequently about it, but I wanted to give you, some idea of where I stand. And I think I have, but I keep running into people on social media who seem to want to convince me that Donald Trump is infallible. I'm not talking to Catholics when I'm just, but I'm talking to people who think that Donald Trump is perfect and he can't make any mistakes. But let me tell you where I'm at. I have not made a decision yet who I'm going to vote for. I know for sure I will not be voting for either Hillary and I will not be voting for Bernie Sanders. So you can mark that on your little checklist if you're keeping one about what I'm going to be doing. Now, as far as do I vote for Donald Trump, assuming that he's currently the presumptive presidential candidate or nominee, but we're not at the convention yet. So many things happen in this election. Who knows what's going to happen at the convention? But let's say, assuming that he does get the presidential nominee, what will I do? Will I vote for him, or will I write somebody in, or will I stay at home? Well, I won't stay at home. I will vote. And who I will vote for is still yet to be determined. And maybe unlike some people, I do put it to prayer. I bring it to God and say, who do you want me to vote for? And that's what I'm going to do. I'm waiting until November until I know for sure what it is that I'm directed to do. And then I'm just going to go do it. In the meantime, though, I know there are a lot of people out there who are so into Donald Trump that no matter what he does, you're okay with it. And I guess I'm not okay with it. Whether that person would be Ted Cruz, John Kasich, Donald Trump, or anybody else, I'm not okay with a candidate who basically comes in and says, this is what I believe, this is who I am, and this is what we're going to do. And he gets people behind him and rallies behind him on that. And then he comes back and he starts changing his mind, and he's not the person that he originally said he was. Now, I have some issues with that. And I know people are saying, yeah, well, but, everybody's entitled to change their minds. Yes, they are. But when we're talking about something as important as the United States, I want to know that we're getting it right. And maybe we can't get it right. Maybe that's just the problem. But when a person comes out and says, we're going to build the wall, we're going to send all of the illegals home, we're going to deport them, we're going to have our own campaign, we're not going to take outside money, we're going to increase taxes on the rich, and then calls people by names, like Dr. Carson calls him pedophile, whatever, calls Chris Christie names, whatever. Okay, so, and then sort of like the next day, the position has changed. We're no longer going to tax the rich. Doesn't sound like we're going to deport the illegals, all the illegals that are here. I'm not even sure about the wall anymore. He did mention something about minimum wage. I think that he's sort of backed away from that a little bit. We're talking about now I don't know, almost everything now has changed. And I guess I want to know from you, are you okay with that? Are you just saying, well, you know what? People change their minds every day. It's okay. But we know that he's for what we're for. He's not a politician. He's not going to take it anymore. He's not going to have business as usual. Well, that I can agree on with you. Uh, his stance a little bit on debt bothers me. I know that he has used the bankruptcy laws in his business and has filed bankruptcy, or his businesses have several times. And he said that he loves debt. And I understand that as far as a business practice. But when you're talking about a country in the United States, you can't run the country in the same way. You have other countries like China who own our debt, who are not going to sit by and be happy if the United States were to, let's say, just get rid of the debt or file some type of bankruptcy. It's not going to come out the same way. So that kind of bothers me. And apparently, with also the day before when Ted Cruz was still in, anybody that was with Goldman Sachs was the devil themselves. And now he has gone out, and his finance manager used to work for Goldman Sachs. Not only that, but the same finance manager used to work for George Soros. Speaking of the devil himself. So how now is this okay? And I thought he was running the campaign without donations. He was using his own money. So why now does he need to go and raise money? See, those things really cause me to take pause and say, what's going on here? And I'm wondering why that, let's say, many of you don't take pause in that. Again, is it just because you feel, well, he represents me? And I'm asking, how does he represent you if he keeps changing all the things that you said that you were for? And I'm not trying to change your mind on Donald Trump, because trust me, I know that those of you who adamantly support Donald Trump, you're not going to change. I mean, I don't know what he would have to do to change your mind. I don't think there's anything that would. So I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm merely trying to understand a little bit more your position. Because also I know that if this were happening on the left, then I know many of you would be out there going, oh my gosh, look at this flip-flop, look at what's happening. Why is this happening? And yet when your guy does it, you're not concerned about it at all. Is it because you think that, the American people can change him? That if he says he wants something, the American people can say, no, we don't want that, and he'll change his mind? And maybe that's what you're banking on. If he becomes president, maybe that's what you're hoping. It scares me too about his stance on healthcare. It sounds like he's moving more towards that one payor system that I don't want. I don't want my government I don't want them in charge of my health care right now and having my health records and anything else that has to do with me personally, to be honest with you. And so and I've heard Trump say, well, we want to take care of everybody. Okay, I understand that. It sounds a little socialist, but I get it. As a human being, you really want to take care of other people. So I get that stance. And I don't know if that means a continuation of universal health care. I thought he was going to get rid of Obamacare, and it's not sounding that way now. So it just gets to be, a little confusing, to say the least. And the fact, I still have a hard time with Ben Carson being insulted and going to work for Donald Trump. And I know many of you will say, well, but he sees the bigger picture. Okay, so maybe that's it. I know that if I were called a pedophile or close to that name by someone, I don't know that I would want to go and support them. And again, many of you might say, yes, but Dr. Carson is supporting America, and that's more important than Dr. Carson. Okay, that's a good argument. But how do you also explain Chris Christie? Chris Christie is a progressive. He has some issues with the Second Amendment where he wants to limit your abilities to certain guns in certain areas and make the gun laws different for those who are living in the city and those outside of the city. It is a constitutional right that he is impeding when he does that. And I think, he's a big climate change guy. He believes all of that. And so how does that stack up with what Trump believes? And again, you may say, well, Christie is just going to be a part of the transition team and he's not going to be dealing with foreign policy and domestic policy. It wouldn't be surprising to me that if Trump wanted to, that he would nominate Christie as vice president. And then let's say that happens, are you going to be okay with that? Knowing that if something happened to Donald Trump, Chris Christie, if he were chosen as the VP nominee, that he would be next in line. Are you okay with that? I don't know. Every time I think of Chris Christie, I think about the little stroll along the boardwalk with President Obama and how they were practically engaged at that time. So that has me concerned. And I know that the people who are for Trump are saying, well, but a vote for Donald Trump, a vote against him is a vote for Hillary. I don't believe that argument, but okay. But there's always been an ability for Americans to vote who they want to vote for. And in a free country, that's what you do. And honestly, I think at this point, Donald Trump has said, I don't want all of conservatives, and this is the Republican Party. It's not the Conservative Party. Okay, well, again, many of you out there have said that you are conservatives, and now you're being told that this is not the Conservative Party. And maybe you're just saying, well, it isn't. It hasn't been the Conservative Party for a number of years, so it really isn't. And maybe that's how you justify it. I hear the words spoken, and again, it gives me pause to say, what's going on here? Why is if he is representing me and what I really want as an American citizen, why am I hearing all these things that are, in a lot of respects, presenting red flags to me? I mean, it's kind of interesting where we are. I think if Obama had said any of these things, we would have been saying red flag all over the place. And yet we're not doing that with Donald Trump. Another thing, I thought the reason that everybody loved Donald Trump is because he's not a politician, and yet he's looking at 5 or 6 people for VP that are politicians. And again, you may justify that and just say, well, he needs a politician because he needs to know how to work everything in DC. Because if you're an outsider, you don't know how to do the ins and outs. Well, if that's all you wanted, I mean, you had Ted Cruz, who kind of understood the ins and outs in Washington DC. But again, at that point, you were saying, but we don't want a politician. Well, we're kind of now getting a politician as a VP candidate, or the way it looks. But so, I don't know. Again, this is all confusing. And I will have to tell you, for all of you out there who at this point absolutely hate Glenn Beck because he made it very clear he is a never Trump person and he will not vote for Trump in the upcoming election. He came out today and I haven't heard anybody really talking about it. But in the past, when he said something about Trump, it hits the news. Breitbart, who's all in for Donald Trump, it has been from the beginning. It's all over Breitbart what he said. People are making fun of him. I mean, it goes on for days. Oh, Glenn Beck's insane. Glenn Beck's been hearing from God again. Glenn Beck this, Glenn Beck that. I mean, it's just things taken out of context. And I know they are because I've watched the show where he said that, and I can see how things are taken out of context. I mean, it's really, if you're going to do something, please just tell the truth. If it is Glenn Beck going crazy, let's make sure it's really Glenn Beck going crazy and not something taken out of context. Okay, that's all I ask. You don't have to like the guy. I don't care if you do or not. But basically, the guy that now the Trump supporters hate, most of them, came out today and said that Donald Trump is going to be the next president of the United States. Now, why aren't you saying, oh, that's crazy Glenn Beck, he's wrong, he's always wrong, we can't believe him, he's lying to you? Why aren't you out there saying that now? Again, I think it's because he's saying now what you want him to say. And you're happy with that. And I get that. And all I'm saying, again, I'm not trying to change anybody's mind about who they should or shouldn't vote to. You've already made up your mind. Those people who are for Trump, you have made up your mind. I don't know what he would have to do to convince you that he's not the right person. I don't think there is anything. All I'm asking you is to tell me, how do you reconcile all of the differences now that seem to be appearing between you and Donald Trump, and what you said that you wanted and what he said in the beginning that he wanted? He's now changed his mind on a lot of things, or he's wavering if he hasn't completely changed his mind. I really want to hear from you. I'm serious about this. As I try to make up my mind and who I'm going to vote for in November, I would love to hear from you and what you have to say. Convince me that I should be all in. Tell me, how should I be all in? Just write me at susan@susanknowles.com. That's susan@susanknowles.com, and tell me your opinion on why Donald Trump is the answer to all our problems. And when you write me, don't leave out factual stuff. I mean, when he has said in his own words on video even that he's changing his stance on different things, I want you to include those. I mean, that's part of the conversation. You can't not include those, because the reality is those exist, and that's what he said. So let's include those in the conversation, and then just tell me, perhaps why that I shouldn't either care or I should discount them, or tell me what's going on and why you think that he's still the person that deserves to be president of the United States, and why, let's say, I should vote for him. I really want to know. Serious on that. It's an election that just seems to never end, though. I can tell you that. I have never had an election period where I'm just tired of it. I just want to get on to November. I'm not looking forward to the convention, because I know that people like Black Lives Matter, MoveOn.org, they're going to go there and try to just wreak havoc on that city. If I were in Cleveland, I think that in July, during the convention, I would go someplace else. I would, good time for vacation. Let's all go someplace else, wherever else that is. And just any place would be better than being in Cleveland and having to put up with what you're going to have to put up when those people show up. And it's really sad that we have that type of thing, and that, again, their law enforcement are not allowed to do their jobs. Those people should be shut down. They should not interfere with free speech, whether they agree with Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, or whomever else is there. They shouldn't have a say. They can have their own convention. They can, pick it outside where legally they can be, but they should not be inside wreaking havoc like that. Now, I did want to address Paul Ryan and my feelings about Paul Ryan. I know that Paul Ryan has come out and basically said that he's not ready to endorse Trump. I know that they were scheduled to meet, and I think they did meet today, and I'm just checking here. I think it was that everything, went as well as could be expected. Um, and I will have to say to you, I am of the opinion, as a private citizen, you can say and do anything that you want to do. You know, if you want to say out loud, I don't like this candidate, I'm not voting for that candidate, even if you're a Republican and you say, I'm not voting for the Republican candidate, I have no problems with that. You are a private citizen. You can say and do, well, used to be able to say and do whatever you wanted to. Today, we seem to be having some issues with people saying and having an opinion, but you can do whatever you want. Paul Ryan, on the other hand, he's the leader, he's the House Speaker of the Republican Party. You don't get, I think, as the Speaker of the House, you don't have that right. You're not afforded that right in your capacity to come out and not support the presumptive presidential nominee. Whether you like him or not, I think that you need to unify the party. That's your job. And you can't unify the party if you say that you're not going to get behind that nominee. Now, if you feel that there are others who are basically in agreement with you, and that there are enough people, like in the majority of the House and the Senate, who don't want him, then you need to talk amongst yourself and maybe talk about a brokered convention. I mean, nobody wants to hear that, but it is a legal and viable option. I don't think that's where we're at, but I'm just saying that is something that you could do. But in your capacity, in your job, Paul Ryan, you have to do what the GOP has committed to doing. And what you should do is lead the GOP, unify them, and get behind Donald Trump. Now, Paul Ryan, the private citizen, when you go in there and to the booth, you can do whatever you want to do. And that's up to you. But if the will of the people is Donald Trump, and if the GOP has said, you know, this is our candidate, you need to get behind that candidate and support him, period. Now, let's switch subjects. Let's go to the bathroom, shall we? Transgender bathrooms. Never was a big issue before. And let me just tell you, we've had transgenders in this world for a long time. We've also had people who decided they want to go to whatever bathroom before. I mean, I know that we have. Somewhere along the line we have. And the population of transgenders is so minute in the United States. I mean, it really is. I don't know if it's 0.8 or 0.08. It's very small. And yet, it's been a big deal is being made. You know, North Carolina comes out and says you have to go to the bathroom that shows what's on your birth certificate. And, you know, a lot of people right off the bat will say that's not fair. You know, that if you're a man and you've become a woman, then you should be able to go to the women's bathroom. I don't know. I mean, that's neither here nor there. I don't know if North Carolina needed to come out and do what they did. And now that the DOJ is suing them and they're suing the DOJ, we'll see what happens. But this could have very easily, it's one of those things where if you get the government out of things, they easily take care of themselves a lot of times. For example, if you really want to take care, and if your concern really was about transgenders and being able to go in the bathroom of their choice, all you'd have to do is have a single stall, just a single stall with a door and a lock. You know, they have those in every department store, most every department store. But that's not what's happening here. It's saying, no, you, Mr. and Ms. America, who are not transgender, you will conform to what we want you to do. And what we want you to do is allow people into your bathroom of a different sex. And you better feel comfortable with that. And not only that, the whole idea about it, that's not even the whole idea. The whole idea is to disrupt and destroy the family and Christianity and Christian values. You know it, I know it, the DOJ knows it, everybody knows it. It's not about transgenders. It really isn't. And when people talk about the fear of having a man come into the bathroom with their daughter or their wives, I can tell you one thing. If a man walks through the bathroom doors when I'm in the women's bathroom, I'm going to scream at the top of my lungs, because I will not know whether that man is there to rape me, just happened to go in the wrong door, is transgender, or just thought he would play a joke. I mean, whatever. I don't know. But I'm not comfortable with a man in the women's bathroom. I don't care. If you look like a man to me, I'm going to be screaming. And I have a feeling that a lot of other people are going to be that way too. And I won't know whether you're transgender or not. It won't matter to me. It will matter to me that you look like you're a male. That's what will matter to me. So don't be fooled by what's going on with the DOJ. And I'll tell you, one of the things, I've been doing, and I have always research on different areas, but the Civil Rights Act of 1964, to compare this, having the AG Lynch come out, head of the DOJ, come out and say, oh, this is just like the Civil Rights Act of 1964 when they put up signs on water fountains in the bathrooms. No, it's not. And if I were African American, I would be ticked off today. That the Civil Rights Act of 1964 basically was written for you. It was written because you were being discriminated because of the color of your skin, period. And then to try to make a bathroom issue into a civil rights issue is ridiculous. It's insulting. Again, if I were African American, I would be insulted today. For her to, as a black woman, for her to say that, she should be, I don't know. I mean, is there no embarrassment with these people at all in the administration? I mean, it's mind-blowing sometimes. She knows, she's a very smart woman, very well-educated woman. She knows that this bathroom issue has nothing to do with the color of skin. It also has nothing to do with anything about transgenders. It is a protection issue, not wanting to be harmed or raped in the bathroom. I mean, for me, that's what it boils down to. And again, I don't think people are going to go, oh, are you transgender? Oh my gosh, I don't like you. I don't want you in my bathroom. It doesn't even enter people's minds. We have been taught since we were children, you don't go into the bathroom. Girls don't go into boys' bathrooms, and boys don't go into girls' bathrooms. And now we're saying, why not? That's perfectly fine. And if you want to go shower in the girls' locker room, if you want to change your clothes in there, if you just want to feel like a girl today and you're a guy and go into the girls' bathroom, go right ahead. I have to say that as a woman, I feel like this is a real war on women. This has more to do with women than it does transgenders. It seriously does. Because I'm going to be at risk every time I go to the bathroom, wondering if somebody's going to come in there. And there's been people already who have taken advantage of this. And it's heterosexual males who are taking advantage of this. Not the heterosexual males that are appropriate, but the ones who are inappropriate, who go in there with criminal intent to do things that they know now they can get away with because We've we've passed a law in certain places saying you can go into the women's bathroom if you want to. You and I both know it's dangerous enough sometimes to send a little girl into the women's bathroom or a little boy into the men's bathroom. There have been children, and that happened in Southern California in Oceanside. It's been more than a few years back now, but a few years back, a guy went into the bathroom. A woman, an aunt, took her nephew to the bathroom. She waited for him outside because she's not allowed into at that point, she wasn't allowed into the men's bathroom. So she waited for him outside. I think he was like 12 years old. And so this young man went into the bathroom, slit his throat as the aunt waited outside. And the boy died. Now, again, having single stall bathrooms with locks on the doors would have prevented that. If you want to do something in regards to bathrooms and you want to do it in regards to safety for everyone and you want to make it the same for everyone, okay, get single stall bathrooms, put doors on them, put locks on them, we're done. But see, that ruins your agenda, Mr. and Ms. Progressive. That ruins your agenda to destroy the family and to rid the world of the Christian principles. That's the only thing right now standing in between light and dark. That's the only reason we don't go dark is there are Christian principles in this world. And I know people of other religions are going to say, but that, why Christian principles? I'm Christian. I'm talking my faith, my religion. If you're another religion and you feel that way, great. I'm talking about my beliefs right now. I really feel that we are under attack. You know that as well as I do. I don't have to tell you that. You've known that every day for the last, I don't know how many years. I've had guests on my show. Go back, please, and listen to some of the shows I've had people on who talk about how this is the principles of the progressives and what they're trying to do. I've had people on, and I've done research myself on Karl Marx and communism. And this is exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to get rid of Christianity and the Christian principles because they know as long as Christianity and the Christian principles exist, they can't complete their dark task. And again, you and I know this has nothing to do with discrimination against transgenders. Even the transgenders know that. And Dr. Alveda King came out and also agrees with me about the Civil Rights Act, saying this is ridiculous, that basically it's unfair that you're comparing the two. There is no comparison. We all know that. And I think, again, as a woman and other women, why aren't we out picketing in front of places like Target or anybody else that would try to institute a law that would allow men to go into women's bathrooms or women to go into men's? I mean, women can be just as dangerous as the men. Let's be fair, right? Typically, it's not that way. It's the other way. But if you want to, if we have to do it, let's just say it works both ways. And it does. It works both ways. Now, I think in California, even crazy California, they're going to have kind of a requirement. There's a law in the books right now, other than the pot law that's coming up. I digress. But anyway, even crazy California wants a law where you have a single stall with a lock on the door and it's a bathroom that's gender neutral. Okay. I got no problems with it. I've gone into gender neutral bathrooms all my life. There are a lot of little shops that I've gone into that have one bathroom. Got a lock on the door. No problem. This, again, is an agenda that the progressives have. They've always had this. And read the history about progressivism and Marxism and communism. This has been going on forever. They're really gaining a strong foothold, though, unfortunately. And I, I don't know where we're going with all of this, because it does seem a lot more every day that, as far as politics are concerned, conservatism may be a thing of the past. But as far as Christian principles, I had a guest on recently, Joel Richardson, and he talked about the global Jesus revolution. And you can go to Spreaker.com, again, type in Susan Knowles, and you can hear his show. I just had him on this past Monday. But the thing with him and what he was saying is, we've got to get back to prayer. We've got to get back to prayer and doing missionary work, because everything is just sliding away. I mean, it really, it's falling away. And the Christians they're the revolutionaries. We have the power of God behind us. And I know when people hear that, some people hear that, oh my gosh, Christianity, those Christians, they discriminate against people, and they're so, it's not true. I know you want to paint us that way. It's not true. We love everyone. We know that we're all sinners, all of us. We don't just single ourselves out and say, oh, well, we're so great and you're so bad. No. It's not what we do. Those that walk the walk, and we also read the Bible and, follow the Bible and expect other people to do the same that say they're Christians. But anyway, I think you would really like that show, because sometimes too, it's just really nice change of pace sometimes to do something else and talk about something else other than politics, and get back to what really the focus should be, and that is on God, because that's really the only thing that matters. And so too, if you're in the mood for a little less politics, a little bit more of God, just go to my Spreaker playlist, and you can find, I've had other pastors on, Pastor Gallup's, Dr. Brown, and Bill Cloud, and it's really great to hear what they have to say. And in a lot of respects, you start to look at things and say, this election is not our main focus, and it shouldn't be. What's going on with the transgender bathroom issues? It's all stuff that we know is going to happen, but that we shouldn't get off our focus and what we're here to do. Okay, so just have a look at those, and take a pause from politics for a while. But I will have to say, along the lines of politics, it was interesting to see that the DOJ is now not going to seek the death penalty from the militant who caused everything to happen in Benghazi. No, we're not. You know what? We don't have time to do that because we've got bigger issues, buddy. We've got that transgender bathroom issue to take care of. That's so much more important. We're going to go after North Carolina and anybody else who dares get in our way. The Benghazi guy, whatever. That was a long time ago. What difference does it make? It was a long time ago. So now we're going to move on to more important stuff, right? We're going to go into that bathroom issue and make sure that in every state, all 50 states, we're going to make you open up your bathrooms to everybody all the time, 24/7. Good luck with all that. It'll be interesting to see after North Carolina, and they've gotten finished with them, if they'll go after Texas or any other place that may have a similar type law that North Carolina did. Again, what is so appalling about all this has nothing to do with civil rights. It doesn't even have anything to do with liking or disliking transgenders. And again, rational people, they understand that, they get that. This has to do with fulfilling an agenda. And kind of before we leave the topic, Joe Biden says that he would have been the best president. I think, he came out today and said, if I had been able to run in 2016, I would have been the best president. I mean, to me, it's almost as ludicrous as Mitt Romney saying, I'm going to come back in 2016 because I don't like anybody I see here. I'll just run. Now, I think that's probably an insult to Mitt Romney, me comparing Joe Biden to him. But I can believe Joe Biden said that. I don't want to believe it. I also don't want to believe that if by some miracle Hillary gets indicted, that Joe Biden would step in and say, you know what, I've changed my mind. I did say that I would be the best, and by gosh, by golly, I'm going to prove that to you now, and I'm just going to jump into the race. I think it would be too late by then, fingers crossed, but one never knows what's going to happen. But I had to share that with you because that was just, that was my morning chuckle. Now, in other, I think, more important news, there was an attack today, and the terror group ISIS was behind an attack in a series of attacks in Iraq's capital that left more than 90 people dead so far. That's the count so far. At least 64 people were killed when a car bomb went off at a market in Baghdad Wednesday morning, according to Iraqi police. Another 87 people were wounded in the attack. And if you look at some of the pictures, I mean, gosh, the car there, I'm assuming that the bomb was in. It's just the bottom part of the car that's left in at all. I mean, everything has just been blown away. And it said the pictures of the aftermath of the explosion showed hundreds gathered near a chaotic scene. Blood marked the street. Cars had their windows blown out, and nearly an entire sidewalk was left charred. I mean, I can't even imagine. And then it says later in the day, a suicide bomber wearing an explosive vest detonated in a busy square, killing 17 people and wounding 43 others. 2 police officers in Baghdad told CNN. A suicide car bomber exploded in the Sunni neighborhood, killing 12 people and wounding 31 others. ISIS claimed responsibility for all the attacks. And experts have said that a security vacuum has opened in Iraq amidst the political turmoil the nation has been facing lately. And again, that's just the count that we have now of the injured and dead. I'm sure it's probably going to go up. Who knows? The attacks probably aren't over for the day. I'm surprised that we have any news on that at all. It just seems like, again, that's not where our focus is. There was a message that I got last night that I haven't seen anywhere that said basically, this is in regards to Israel. Israel's Air Force carries out airstrikes in Syria, thwarting weapons convoy for Hezbollah. Did you hear about that in the news anywhere? There's so much going on in Israel. I know we talk about that a lot. So much going on over there, and we're just paying absolutely no attention to it at all. And it's vital, for people who are again Christians. We know what all of this is meaning and how close things are coming. So, pray for those people in Israel. Pray for those people that are basically being wiped off the map over there by ISIS. And again, I know that we think that we have nothing to worry about, but as well as I do, there are probably a ton of sleeper cells here, sleeper cells, that are waiting just to get the word. And it wouldn't surprise me of what we have in store. Hopefully the FBI, and if the DOJ is not too busy in the bathroom, that we can get people on that so things don't happen like that here in the United States. It would be amazingly devastating, to say the least. Now, have you ever heard of bipolar disorder? Well, there's an article that came out and said, I I said bipolar disorder. I meant borderline personality disorder. Sorry, I had my disorders out of order. Many people with, I'll just call it BPD, have experiences of emotional invalidation. Now, the reason I'm bringing this up, because I can see with Obamacare, this kind of down the road, if it catches on, being really a new hotbed of how you can get disability, how you can get free medical care, mental health care, because you can go in and say, you know what, I've been emotionally invalidated throughout my life. And they're saying that a lot of experts believe that this emotional invalidation may be one of the factors that increases a child's risk of developing it in adolescence or adulthood. Now, what is emotional invalidation? I hate to tell you this. I hate to be the one that breaks this to you. But most of us have suffered emotional invalidation at one time in our lives or another. It's when someone communicates to you that your emotions are not valid, are unreasonable or irrational, or should be hidden or concealed. I can just hear some of the spouses out there going, my gosh, they just invalidated me last night and they said I was being silly, I was being ridiculous, or I was being totally irrational. Oh my gosh, you may have a cause of action here, at least to get some free medical care. And I love this example. And don't get me wrong, borderline personality disorder is real. I have treated those patients. If you're the therapist, it can be very frustrating to treat somebody with a BPD, because when you think that you're getting through to them and they're understanding you, they may turn around and just totally do the opposite of what they just agreed they were going to do. That's part of it. But I just see our country, I just see us as a society moving more towards what makes you a victim rather than why you're not a victim. And looking for any excuse at all. I mean, here's what, for example, this is an emotional invalidation, and this is going to maybe make you borderline personality. When a child is fearful, their parent might tell them, stop being such a baby, there's nothing to be afraid of. So, I don't know, you dads out there who just say, suck it up. When something, your child, let's say you're playing softball, maybe a little boy, and he gets hit by the ball and he starts to cry, and you may just suck it up, son. You may be the cause of your son's borderline personality disorder. Do you understand that? And it not only communicates to the child that their emotions are invalid, but also that they are weak for having emotions. Okay. Alternately, a parent might respond with, I understand you're feeling afraid. Tell me what's happening to make you scared. That's a valid response. Again, I would have to say to you, why does our society these days look for making everybody a victim? What happened to, you can do this? Does that mean that I think you should not acknowledge your child's pain? Absolutely not. Of course you should. And do I think that you should say, suck it up, get over it? Sometimes it's called for. Just saying. Depending upon the situation. Is you're doing that? Is that going to make your child be borderline? I don't think so. I think if you did it a lot If your child's emotions and feelings were never validated, of course, there are going to be issues. This article makes it seem as though, don't ever make that mistake. Don't ever invalidate the emotions or you're going to have problems. Again, we seem to want to find ways to help people be disabled and be victims and be disabled by victimhood, I guess is more appropriate what I'm saying. And I just don't think that things are just that black and white. I think that if you are a parent who doesn't show love to your child, is never there for them emotionally, never validates their emotion, then I think, yeah, you've got some serious problems that you're creating there, and that's going to be your responsibility for doing that. But I think to assume that every time you tell your kid just to get tough or to get over it, that you somehow are some monster and your child is going to just be totally damaged by that. I don't think so. But, I'm not the PhD who wrote that, so I'm sure that they would have an issue with maybe what I'm saying. But I think we need to just kind of get back to common sense. And I think I've said this to you before. I'd worked with a teacher before in her classroom. She was not my client, but the kids were in her classroom. And she came to me one time because I had responsibility for some of the kids in the classroom. I was seeing them. And she came to me with this book, and she was so excited about the book. And she wanted me to see the book. And she says to me, look at this. This whole book is about how children, what causes borderline personality disorder. And she was so convinced that she had found the answer, that if we could just do this and this and this, that the kids wouldn't have BPD, but that every kid did, basically, or almost every kid. And I looked at her and I said, do you realize that kind of, most children have some of those tendencies to be self-centered, every focus is on them, on and on and on. But she was seeing all the children, oh my gosh, they all are BPD. And to me, it's just as dangerous to label everyone like that. I don't like labeling people. The DSM-5, they do label. And I know that a lot of people have said to me, oh, I've even had discussions online with people. Oh, why do you label people? Why do you people? Okay, because I'm a therapist. I came up with the DSM-5. Yeah. Why do you label people? Well, I tell you why. It's for insurance purposes. Plain and simple. That's the way that insurance is billed. You must give a diagnosis or you're not going to get paid. So if you don't like that system and you don't like being labeled, then you got to change the system, because the therapist is under the obligation to do that. Now, for me, I always err on giving typically a lighter diagnosis, because I don't like people to be labeled, especially young children, because with all the information that's out there right now for the federal government, they can take that information of what a therapist says about your child and it can go with them. Now, I know we all say, oh, but that's private. That's private information. That'll never get out. Well, yeah, it should be private. Never say never. And there are a lot of times, a lot of parents kind of, they will go to their teachers, their kid's teacher, and they will actually talk about their child's diagnosis. And I always caution parents, please don't do that. If they ask me what a child's diagnosis is, I'm really reluctant to tell them, because I worry about their child's privacy, because I know that a lot of the parents have gone to the school and talked to them about their child's diagnosis. Parents, please don't ever do that. Please don't ever do that. You would be amazed what's talked about at lunchtime or when teachers just happen to talk to each other. And they maybe they're supposed to keep it to themselves, that doesn't happen. Human nature, people talk. And so when that information gets out about your child, then people start looking at your child differently. They start believing the label, whether it's accurate or not, especially when you've had a professional that has attached a label. And the same thing happens with adults. You know, don't go out and share your diagnosis with anyone else. And maybe even talk to your therapist if you're concerned about that, about what label that you're getting. What is the diagnosis that the therapist is turning into your insurance company? I don't know. If I were seeing a therapist, I think I would ask, especially now, and especially how some of that might have an impact on your Second Amendment rights. I would certainly want to know. And I think that is one of the things that, Obamacare has done to hurt those people who really need to seek mental health treatment, but won't, because of the fact that they're worried about their Second Amendment rights, or having a label, or their information getting out there. It's tough, but it is a matter of changing the system. You can't look at the therapist and say it's your fault, because the therapist is just doing what they have to do in order to get paid. And I do think, again, I don't like labels. I really don't. I understand sometimes, why they're necessary. And some people who are severely mentally ill, I can understand. You need to have labels. But for the most part, I don't like what it does to people. And I don't like how it carries with you for long periods of time. I think people should be able to seek mental health therapists and not have to worry about any of that. But again, as Obamacare seems to it changes too. Just because we have Obamacare one way, they slip things in. Well, let's do this now, or let's do that. And it comes, what it is just over controlling government is what it is. So I try to err on the side of caution for everything like that. And I think people, again, you just have to be careful with the information like that you share with others. You may think that you're doing a good thing by sharing, or even sharing in a group, in a group with other mental health people have other mental health issues. I would open up in a group, but you have to remember, when you're in a group, those people are under no legal obligation to keep your information private. So they can go out and tell anybody they want to, well, hey, I was in group the other day and so said that they have a diagnosis of, whatever. They shouldn't do that. They should respect the privacy of all those in there, but they don't necessarily do that. And you can't trust sometimes other people that you're talking to, even your doctor, because your doctor has, who knows what rules and regulations they're going to have, or the access that comes to with the federal government, what they're going to have to your medical records. So just be careful. I'm not saying don't go to the doctor, don't go to the therapist, but I just say talk to your doctor, talk to your therapist if you have any concerns about what they're putting down for you. In the world that we're living in the society that we're living in today, I think we have to take more caution on things that probably in the past we didn't even give it a second thought. But we're not there in the past anymore. We are here now, and this is what we have to deal with. So anyway, I hope this today has been a great discussion for you. I really do. Again, as I said, I hope that you write me, Susan at susanknowles.com. I really do want to hear from you. I want to hear your opinions. We can have a respectful discussion. I love respectful discussions. I won't get into mudslinging, name calling, anything like that, but respectful, I'm all there. And I think you would appreciate that too. So I would hope that you write me. We can talk back and forth, even about some of the shows maybe that you want to see in the future, some things that you want me to talk about. I'd be more than happy to do that. I think it would be a great thing. I'm also thinking about doing some things during the day so we can have everybody come in at one time and have open discussions. And again, respectful, open discussions about different topics. And so I will try to, if you're following me on Twitter at Susan Knowles, try to put out something telling you that I'm going to be doing that. But until next time, I hope that you're good to yourself. I hope that you'll be good to everybody else. And we'll see you again next week. Until then, God bless you. Take care.